All right, we are on. All right, welcome everybody to the weekly Sloth race. I am the Sloth, and this week we're going to be playing a game that was released by Rare. It's called Snake, Rattle, and Roll. And I think this was released in like July 1990, and I spent a lot of time and a lot of frustration as a kid trying to beat this game, and to this day I've not been able to do it. So what I have is I have 3 racers today that are going to try and do that. And then one person, we actually got the world record holder to come out of retirement. His name is Xatmamune, and he's going to be demonstrating one of his extremely fast records of, or one of his extremely fast runs through the game, and the 3 racers will be competing for a $20 cash prize, which I will donate to them right after the conclusion of the race. But without further ado, I'm going to throw it over to Zat. And Zat, just tell us a little bit about the game.
So this is a game that is relatively notorious for its difficulty. It's isometric, so if you want to move to the right, you actually are moving diagonally to the right. So it takes a little bit of time to get used to the controls. But once you get used to them, it's actually pretty intuitive, and the object of the game is to make it to the top of a very large mountain. At the top of the mountain is a boss, and on the way you have to eat things called nibbly-pibblies. When you eat these nibbly-pibblies, you grow larger, as snakes do, and when you become large enough, you're able to stand on a scale, or sit on a scale, whatever snakes do. So you sit on a scale, and if you're heavy enough, the scale will trigger the exit to open. And once you've passed through 10 stages, some brutal, some not so brutal, you can make it to the boss. And if you're good enough, you can actually finish the boss, which a lot of people can't seem to do because he is quite challenging. But that is pretty much the object of the game.
Nibbly Pibblies. I never knew they were called that until today.
That is correct.
Okay, so again, Zat's going to be, he's very, very kind to do a run of the game. He's not going to be included in the race. Everybody can breathe a sigh of relief, but he is the world record holder for the Warpless category that we're going to be doing. So he's going to be in the top right position. So he's going to be done pretty quick. You said about 11 minutes, right?
Yeah, give or take.
What is your world record?
Just under 10 and a half minutes. I think it's like 10:27 or something.
That's pretty impressive. But as far as our racers go, we have the returning from last week. We have the parkour enthusiast, Andre the Accelerator. Finally learned how to say his name. Right below him in position 3, the bottom left, is going to be Poisoncurls. Poisoncurls is a Lion King easy difficulty world record holder, and has literally the most beautiful blue eyes that I've ever seen. Down in the bottom right position, we have Skunky 48. Skunky 48 is a god at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Holds both world records for a glitchless and any percent and glitch. What is it, Skunky? Tell me.
Yeah, any percent and glitchless.
Glitchless, okay. But all 4 of these guys are extremely talented. So I'm really thankful to all of them for helping me put this together, so we can hopefully see this game get wrecked by one of them. All right, but everybody, whenever you're ready, I'll count you down.
Ready.
Ready.
All right, boys. 3,
Ready.
2, 1, go. And we're off. There's really not too much to this first level. This is actually, I'm familiar with a warp. There's a rocket that blasts off from the end of the level. And literally you have to go straight there. And I do mean straight there. You can no stop and run straight to the scale at the end of the level. And you can actually catch a rocket that'll warp you. I'm not sure where it takes you because I've never actually caught it. Maybe Zach can tell us. Zach, where does that rocket go if you manage to catch it?
So I've got push to talk. Sorry about that. But that rocket will take you to level 8 where the water is and all the fish pibblies.
Midnight Pearl is already in chat saying Skunky number 1. I love it. I love it. Support your favorite streamer. Love it. But how you doing, Midnight Pearl? So I guess you're hoping that Skunky wins. You know, Skunky actually, he's only been playing this game one day. We had a cancellation at the last minute, and Skunky agreed yesterday to start learning the game. So that was pretty awesome of him to step up. You didn't have to do that, but you did, and I love you, man.
He is a baller for sure.
Dude, if he beats this game after one day, I've been playing this game for 30 years. I've never beaten it. If he beats it in one day, I will feel so inadequate. So, as you can see, Andre, he's on level 2. He's just trying to eat some balls, get the snake's weight up. Sort of reminds you of, what is it, Centipede? Holy Christ! And Zat is going so fast that I can't even keep up. But yeah, this is what... yeah, you said you've been playing this game since you were 3-4 years old?
I think 6.
6 years old. It's crazy. Right, yep. So some of the jumps in this game are pretty perilous, and if you if you combine that with the isometric nature of the game, you can fall a lot, and it's really, really tricky. And some of the jumps are very high risk. Those spikes will kill you, and this is a game where you can game over and have to start over again. It's pretty rough. Then I guess those are toilet seats right there that keep attacking them. Let's call them toilet seats. Is that what?
Oh man, that was clutch.
Yeah, Zat's already. Oh, wow, yeah. You're talking about the jump for the thing. I've got a little bit of a delay.
Yeah, the carpet jump.
The carpet jump. Normally what you have to do is you actually have to ride the carpet across and then hop straight up and down. Hello, CS Cash 2016. My face will not be featured on this stream. 1, because my webcam is not working, and 2, because I don't want people to see how ugly I am. I did not trim the beard today. I did not have the chance. Yeah, toilet seats and hairy, stinky feet. That's essentially what it is. And what are those diamonds? Are just points? Do they do anything?
They give you invincibility.
Okay, the diamonds give you invincibility, and the gears, like the little ratchet, the turn gears or whatever, they make the snake go faster. Holy cow. Is that level 5 you're on already?
I just got to level 7.
Oh, wow. Can't even keep up. Yeah, Poison and Skunky both on the Magic Carpet level. The Nibbly Pibblies actually turn into birds on this level, is what I've noticed, and they can be extremely trolly. And I haven't noticed like a particular pattern, but then again, I've only spent about 9 hours playing the game of late. But I never noticed like a specific pattern where you could like lie in wait as a snake and eat them. Nice. Andre just finishing up level 3. Hockey Rules wishes all of you guys good luck. Hey Hockey, how you doing, man? But yeah, if you're just joining us, we do a race like this every single week. At the end of this race, I'm going to announce next week's game. And at that point, the runners will have 7 days to learn it. And then they will race again next week. And so all of their speedrunning skills and dedication, they will be on full display. Cash, Cinema dropped out. Cinema and Morvo. Morvo was a no-show, and Cinema, he messaged me yesterday saying that he wasn't going to be able to race because he didn't practice any. So that is the reason Skunky stepped up. Skunky was the backup, and then whenever Morvo didn't show up in chat or for the check-in, I just had the idea to let Zat just wreck the game. Again, not necessarily as competition, but just to show what is possible versus a week's training. Gosh. Zat has already eaten the fish. Andre just starting the flying carpet level. Poison taking those safe strats, jumping across one at a time. Oh, and the death. I think you can probably make those jumps like 2 at a time, but generally speaking, I just do 1. I usually try to look at the shadow of the snake. If you notice, like whenever the snake, whenever you're jumping with the snake, it's really hard sometimes to gauge where the snake is going to land, and some of these jumps are so critical that there's lining it up can be a problem. So whenever I was playing it, I just sort of looked at the shadow of the snake, and then whenever I got the shadow where I wanted, like crest of the jump, I would just sort of try to hold him there in midair and let him fall. Very nice. Poison making his way up the waterfall.
All right, now the tough parts become.
Yeah, that's the underwater level is really tough. Like, I mean, it's a huge time crunch. I mean, at least it is for me. Like just like trying to get those trolly fish. I mean, the yellow ones are the ones you really want in that level, correct? Because they are 3 points, I think it is.
Oh yeah, yellows are definitely the best.
And then the blacks are the same as yellows, but you have to like lick them 3 times to get them to change into yellow. So it's just a little bit more of a time crunch trying to change them over. So that's pretty much just all RNG as far as what color you get?
Actually, the fish pibblies are predetermined.
Oh, they are? Okay. So you can actually come up with some sort of a strategy for positioning yourself.
Yeah.
See, I notice you're on you're slightly positioned. Now, what about the bombs that come out sometimes? Are those RNG?
Sadly, yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, just whatever the game decides to give you. I think Poison's in the lead. Well, I mean, obviously the ice level is like the next to last level, if you count the boss, right? This is level 9.
Yeah, there are 2 ice levels, 9 and 10, and then the boss.
Okay. So right now, if you're looking at the ice levels, Xatmamune, he's not racing, but he would be the furthest along. Skunky may be winning. I don't know. I don't know all of the levels by heart, and my expert commentator, who would normally ask to answer the question, he's actually doing his run right now. So after the first 10 minutes, I'm probably going to let him do the majority of the talking about the game itself, and I will just engage chat. That was the plan from the very beginning. Now, what are those like little traffic cone things? There's 2 different types. Like, it just looks like a bell. If you look at Andre's screen right now, it looks like they're little bells that are just popping out whenever he's going across the waterfall. And I wonder how high the person is that designed this game. Like, how high do you have to be to design something with like big, hairy, smelly feet and like traffic cones? And I mean, like, what are these enemies, man? Oh yeah, Skunky's ahead. He's already on the water level. Those geysers, man, it takes crazy positioning. You see Poisoncurls making his way up to the end of the level. Those geysers, I don't know if they're random, but like you have to be there. I think there's like maybe 10 or 12 frames that would actually boost you up. And it's really, really hard to get in good positioning because there's actually current in that water. Like the water's moving, so it's constantly trying to push them down the level. So it's extremely challenging. Yeah, you see Poisoncurls right there. Now this last jump that Poisoncurls is on is absolutely brutal because you can fall off that far side. Hopefully he doesn't do that. Cash says Skunky is a beast, especially.
All right, final boss, and then I'll be ready to commentate.
Excellent, man. Yeah, Cash said Skunky's a beast. Skunky is a beast. Like, he's an extremely dedicated streamer. His Twitch, full name for Twitch is Skunky48. So he definitely deserves a follow, especially if you hated Ninja Turtles growing up, because he will wreck that game. All right, Poisoncurls moving to the water level. So you see, Poison looks like he's going after that little black fish. Now you have to lick him 3 times and he'll blink yellow. There's 1, 2, 3, and then he turns yellow and speeds up and you have to actually suck him in. But that's 3 points, and I don't know how many of those it takes. How you doing, Square One? Are you ready to race next week? I got a really fun game. For those of you in chat that don't know, Square One is another one of our racers. Not participating this week, but also...
Alright, that was a rough boss fight, but I'm finished.
Square, man, if you want to, you're in. But Square's a very talented guy. Square One actually was the winner of our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles race, which is how we met Skunky. And then Square actually went on to get a really good time in that as well. So, always pleased to see people picking it up. Hippity hop, rattle roller at the top. See you soon, snakes in space.
Alright, not too bad for having not really played in 3 years, but glad to have done it.
Just leave the game up so the... you got a picture of Kirby right there, I like it. But yeah,
Kirby was my favorite growing up.
Just leave the game up. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's actually not a problem leaving the game up because there's no noise.
Cool. So there you go, man.
Oh, I see Andre had game over. That's unfortunate.
Skunky's already on the ice level. I think that's the first ice level.
Yep, he's on stage 9, and he's got 4 lives, which makes me guess that it's possible he might have 0 game overs. And he might have full continues, which means he has a good shot at making this run happen.
Midnight Pro says snakes on a plane.
So it's a little tricky. Poisoncurls right now, he's going for an extra life at the bottom of the screen. Yeah. That extra life is really hard to see on some CRTs because the bottom of the screen is cut out, and the extra life is a very short sprite, so it's actually invisible on some CRTs, and it has the illusion that there's a pit there. Like if you go too far, oh man, I might fall off trying to get that extra life, but actually there is no pit there. You can safely go get that extra life, but only if you can actually see it do you know it's there.
I was emulating the game. Like, I'm so wary of going so close to the edge of the screen. Like, I mean, it's just...
Well, that's the thing. This game, like, it has so many bottomless pits that...
Yeah.
But in the fish level, there are no pits inside the water. It's an alcove, so there's an illusion of a bottomless pit, but there really is no bottomless pit. But when you're up above the world, then there are pits.
Now let's talk about the fall damage, because I know that there are certain places in the run where you have to incrementally lower your snake down. Like even if there's a floor down there that you can stand on, you have to jump down carefully and not fall too far in one single jump. And we're looking at Andre right now. If he just jumped straight down to where he's going, he would die. So he's actually going to have to jump down to where the toilet seat is going back and forth after he gets the balls, right?
Yeah, I think that's something that the programmers did, because if you look at Andre right now, you can see the previous levels below him, because when you're climbing this world, there are 10 connected levels, and you can see the areas of level 6 and 7 when you're in level 5, for example, and you can see level 4 below you where you just were. I think what the programmers did is that in order to display that you're in this giant mountain, they make it so you cannot access those areas by making it, if you fall too far, you're just dead. But it still allows you to experience the mountain scene.
Okay, so it's I guess it's more immersion. Like you get a sense of accomplishment. Well, if you're not me, you get a sense of accomplishment.
So actually, I think somebody made an entire map of the world. They put all 10 levels together, and it actually looks pretty cool all together.
I actually saw that. I mean, I was researching the game, and I went to images just to see what kind of graphics there were out there that I might be able to use for the stream. And I actually saw that somebody had stitched together a piece of the entire world, that's really cool. Poison finishing up stage 2 again.
Yeah, it looks like he took a game over as well, and definitely Skunky in lead, very much so. He's unfortunately this foot. Now, every foot in the game, it incrementally becomes harder to defeat. The first ones, they stand still when you hit them, and they only have a few health, and they always drop a guaranteed extra life. But as you progress through the game, once you hit, I think, stage 5, the foot does not guarantee drop an extra life. No, I think it's stage 4, actually. And there's a smaller and smaller % chance that it'll drop a bomb instead. And it'll look like a life, but it'll turn into a bomb when it lowers to you. So, but it also gives you more health. And then the later foots, they don't actually stop when you hit them. They merely slow down. And the problem with the feet is that if you're not actually attacking them, they regenerate their health very, very fast. So it looks like these feet are invincible, but if you are able to attack them consecutively for like 50 or 60 hits, they will die. But not all of them will drop a life in the later stages. They'll drop a bomb more than they will drop a life.
Right, okay. Good. I'm learning so much about this game, man. I don't know, I really want to try and beat it. Do any of the other enemies get faster or tougher, anything like that?
No, I think it's just the feet, really. The Nibbly Pibblies, they adapt to the stages, and for example, Poisoncurls, you don't actually have to eat the Nibbly Pibblies in stage 4, but in stage 4, they, instead of rolling around, they'll flatten themselves on the ground and bounce around and flatten on the ground, and when they're flat, you can't eat them. And then they'll adapt to harder and harder techniques, like the helicopter ones that Skunky has to deal with, but they don't actually become harder to eat necessarily, except for the fish level. The fish level, they have armor. The yellow ones have armor sometimes, but other than that, all Nibbly Pibblies just take one bite and they're done. And for the most part, every other enemy is the same way. They don't actually get stronger.
Right.
But yeah, Skunky is on the hardest part arguably the hardest part in the entire game, and that's the final climb. So many people just cannot make it up that. There's death on every angle.
I mean, and they will kick you off too. So those on that final ridge right there where Skunky is, it's angled and it's ice. It pushes you off, but you can also fall off the back too. So it's not like you see right now. Skunky is just like grinding himself into the wall, just to stay up at the top, and then just trying to avoid the boulders.
Yep, and unfortunately, for lack of a better word, if you fall from the first or second slope, you will land on the lower one like you just did, and you have to start over. Whereas if you were further up, you would die instead, meaning you'd respawn where you fell off, so you wouldn't lose your progress. It can be frustrating.
Are you not entertained?
Heck yeah. Wait a minute. Did we get a sub?
So like I've gotten to that climb when I was first playing the game. I get to the climb with full continues, and I could not get up it. It's just that difficult.
All right, Hockey Rules 21 subbed. Appreciate it, man. So Hockey Rules, man, you got the emotes now, the Sloth Cup. So whenever we get a winner, spam it if you got it.
There's Andre. He was going for the wind up carpet skiff, which is extremely difficult to do. He actually almost got it too. But yep, there's another game over from Skunky. Just trying to jump into the exit and he can't do it. It's so deceiving where that exit is.
Hockey says, is this race going to be multiple finished? No. Only one playthrough. Last week we did Demon's Crest and everybody was pretty proficient at the game. It was a little bit more forgiving. So we had first to 3 times beating it. But this time, we're looking to see who's going to get there first. And I mean, I'm not going to jinx it or nothing, but Skunky's at the big foot.
Yep, and this all comes down to this. And as I stated before, the only way to defeat him is if you get about 50 or so consecutive hits with very little downtime.
So that's pretty significant mash right there. I mean, I've seen...
And there it is. He just got squished. He's got to start all over again.
Correct, man. But yeah, to answer your question, hockey, yeah, just getting through it once.
I see he's got an interesting setup. He's approaching the foot from the north center area where the spaceship is going to spawn, and because what he's doing is he's getting an attack without having to move, and then when the foot jumps, he still doesn't have to move to be able to consecutively hit it. Oh, and there he is. He was able to. He got it. Oh man, nicely done.
Skunky
He had a plan.
Just started practicing yesterday.
That is awesomely done. That's got to feel really good too.
That's 3 weeks in a row that Skunky's won. Good job, dude. Good job. Andre with the game over. He's back on level 1.
So another thing that happens between each stage is that it generally requires, not always, but often requires more food per level to actually tip the scales. So the first stage is like you only need like 14 points worth of Pibblies for you to actually exit, but sometimes you'll need in the later stages 20 or 21.
Right. So Skunky's final time for beating the game was 21 minutes 54 seconds. So what's your thoughts on that as far as the world record holder? 1 day playing the game, 21:54.
That is fantastic. I've never seen anything like it. So, Skunky, if you want to actually run this game for real, then I think you actually have what it takes.
Indeed. I mean, I would love to see. Like, I would watch that stream. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to give Skunky more to do, but I mean, he just to give you a sense of his skill. He just got a damageless run in Ninja Turtles, TMNT for NES. Damageless. And I mean, we know that this is the game where you swim underwater in the dam level defusing bombs. He got damageless for that, and all that seaweed that you have to swim through.
Yeah, there's like only pixels away from damage.
The man's crazy. Poisoncurls back to the waterfall level. Is this level 5?
This is actually level 6 where you have to climb the waterfall.
That's pretty much his strategy is my strategy. Like I do like the single little hops there. I don't try to get too greedy with him.
But he missed the power-ups, and now he's got to wait another 8. It's 8 consecutive drops. The 8th one will be the power-up. And it looks like he missed it there too because he had died and he wasn't able to get to it. And it keeps spinning them out, even though you already have it, and you can keep picking up the power up over and over again, but it doesn't do anything for you. But the reason it keeps going is if you're playing 2 players, then it gives a chance for the second player to pick one up too.
Wasn't struggling with the waterfall. And so, Andre is back to level 4 or 5.
Yeah, Andre's on level 3 actually. He's going for the extra continue. It's pretty free. You might as well just grab it. It's 3 extra lives.
Hey Fox, I'm here. I'm commentating. I'm not on cam today.
Yeah, one thing I was explaining that's so brutal about this game is, and unlike most any other game, in this game, there is death around literally every corner of this game. You press one button and you could just die. I think that's one thing that attributes to how difficult the game is.
Yep. Man, it's just, I mean, and I guess the isometric nature of the movement it's really difficult until you really have internalized it and really just driven it into your muscle memory. You know what I mean? Because like I find myself like whenever I'm standing on top of something preparing for like a really tough jump, like I find myself just overthinking it. You know what I'm saying? Like you just stand there and be like, okay,
oh yeah,
this particular angle, yada yada. I mean, like it's just one of those things that you just have to feel, and that's the biggest thing that I took away from your run is like you have just internalized all the mechanics and you don't even have to think about it. because once you start thinking about making a big jump, you're liable to screw it up somehow.
Yeah, it's also interesting too because different programmers take different aspects towards isometric. For example, like I think Disgaea. Have you ever played the RPG Disgaea? Sure, it's not an action platformer, but it is isometric, and you have a cursor that you move around. And I believe that if you use the cursor right, up, down, left, it's not the same directions as Snake, Rattle, and Roll. So having played Snake, Rattle, and Roll for 30 years or whatever, to play Disgaea is like, oh man, it just messes with my mind.
Yeah, I've never played that particular game. Another game that I play that is isometric in nature is Boom Beach. It's a mobile game, and I try to use AirPlay to like broadcast it. It doesn't work very well, but I mean I play quite a bit, and the directions are actually diagonals. And whenever you're given instructions, it's a teamwork type of game. You end up attacking like a core, and you end up trying to give like positional instructions to people that you're cooperating with to take down a base, and you have to end up saying like what o'clock, like 12 o'clock right above, but it's isometric, and so we usually use the shoreline where you land your troops as 6 o'clock, and then right above the core opposite the beach is 12, but it's the diagonal directions, and some people
that's weird.
Yeah, it's communication is one of the hardest parts of the game, and just because it's isometric and not some people just don't know what to make of it. Yeah. Oh, so that was the first time Skunky actually beat the game. That was his.
No way.
That was the first time he beat the game.
And it was on the first run of the race.
Yeah. Wow. Skunky 48, ladies and gentlemen. Not entirely sure he's not an android. Like, we cannot rule that out at this time.
Well, if proven to be android, then I guess no need for money like the $20, right?
All right. I don't know. I mean, do you still eat if you're an android? Skunky, can you confirm? That's my tricky way of trying to get him to admit he's an android.
So where Andre is right now, he's making the jump. He's trying to anyway. It looks like he just failed to, but if you're on the platform where the first nibbly pibbly spawner is, you can actually skip all those spikes. If you jump, I think you have 2 pixels that you can jump right before the edge, maybe 3, and you can actually make that jump all the way across. But
yeah, I see.
But if you fail it, then you obviously wasted an entire life, and you're no further ahead.
Yeah, strats paid off, save lives for the final climb. Yeah, that's true. I mean, Skunky, if you want to, you can join us. If you want to use your push to talk and just talk to us, maybe you can tell us a little bit about, your strategy, like what you thought going in, like whenever you first saw the game. Tell us like your thought process, because I'm sure there's a lot of people in chat that want to know how you just freaking wrecked that game.
It was an interesting one-day journey.
I mean,
There was a lot of cursing. I almost threw the controller a couple times, but I refrained. It was interesting to get used to these controls. That's the hardest part about learning this run, I think, was getting used to the D-pad controls. But after I got a little bit more comfortable with that, and I knew that would come with time, just kind of toughed it out. I had to take a couple breaks from it, play little turtles in between, and come back to it fresh. So I played like 3 different sessions today, and focused on. I identified what my problem spots were, which were mainly the final climb and the final boss. So did a lot of practice with the final boss, and then decided if I can save lives the whole run and just kind of take it easy and use all my lives for that final climb, because if you fall off the edge, you get put back on whatever platform you touched last, so you just have to jump up to the next platform. If you don't get it, you die, and you get put back on or put up on the next platform. So if you have enough lives, I figured I could get to the top eventually.
Foxhor says he's #1 Poisoncurls fan club member. Poison, buddy, somebody's rooting for you.
Yeah, whenever you were doing that final climb, it looked pretty rough, but you definitely had the amount of lives required to beast through it.
I was really, really worried at the end with the final boss. I didn't know. Well, I didn't think I was going to get the final climb. I didn't think I had enough lives, but when I got to the end, I was really worried about the final boss because practice of that didn't go that great.
Poison getting trolled. What do you call those enemies? Like the one that just killed Poison, the bell, or just the whatever it is that keeps like crushing him.
Yeah, the instructions, they don't really give a name for it that I can remember. I just call them bells because they're shaped like a giant bell.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me, man. But yeah, no. So I mean, you've got those giant bells coming out, and they've been trolling Poison hard.
There's a bit of a trick to the bells to make them a little less menacing, but I'm not sure if you want me to describe it.
No, not at this time. Like, remember that, and we'll revisit it in the commentary after the stream. Right now, I'm just trying to see the Andre's buffering just a little bit.
Yeah, Andre's stream seems to have stopped.
Skunky with the host, man. Thanks. So that's my host sound. If you've ever seen Cheers, yeah. It's one of my favorite shows growing up. Or, well, rather my grandma used to watch it, so I watched it with her. Andre seems to be dropping frames. You guys see that? Is that me?
Yeah, he's having a bit of trouble. So Skunky, do you have this cartridge, the original cartridge, or were you able to play it on some other way?
Foxware, thanks for the host.
Unfortunately, I usually like to play on real cartridges, but I didn't have this one and didn't have time to get out to the store to look, so I played it on an EverDrive.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, I'm 33 years old. For anybody that wonders why I'm playing Cheers theme songs, I mean, so that song was. I mean, I was a kid whenever that show played, so it was more that I was over at my grandmother's house all the time, and I just really loved the theme song. But it's kind of what I modeled my channel after, because I want it to be a place where everybody feels comfortable, like seeing old friends.
Those marbles on stage 7 where Poison's at, they can be rough. And I wonder if they used marbles, because this game does have a bit of a feel like Marble Madness. I wonder if they put marbles in there as an homage to Marble Madness.
I mean, I know Rare had like some mixed game reviews, because I think they did WrestleMania. You know what I'm saying? Like, so Rare, they did like the WrestleMania game, and that was just a cash grab, you know. But like, this is Snake, Rattle, and Roll. This is like prime time Rare. This is like before they sold out, like just tried to go for cash. But I mean, like, this game like really, you know, shows all the talent of the designers there. And it was like, it's really hard, but it's still one of my favorites to this day to watch.
Yeah, it's definitely got its charm. It has definitely got the difficulty. It's got the ability to feel a sense of progress when you're actually getting better. You can tell, like, hey, this game, it's brutal, but if I make a mistake, you know, I made the mistake. You know, I could have jumped out of the way of that anvil, or I could have been a little bit faster to catch the nibbly-pibbly before it ran away. So knowing that you're the one that's at fault generally, it makes you feel better whenever you're doing better, because you know that you're the one getting better at the game.
Right. I mean,
but that doesn't mean that they're not going to put a reverse control mechanic object immediately in the way of where you have to jump, you know.
Right.
they did that. They're those guys.
I mean, like, it was really hard for me to catch like the geyser part. Like, catching those geysers, like, I mean, is it RNG where they pop up? I didn't notice any discernible pattern, but...
Yikes. Double game over for both of them.
Ouch. Well, on the bright side, they're tied right now, so we have a close race.
And yeah, the thing about the geysers is, as you're moving up, little sneak peek to trivia, that entire level 7 is one giant message. If you look at it from a bird's eye view, as you're running across the beginning, I believe it says the word Nintendo written in the tiles, and as you're going up the geyser level area, then it says the word Game Boy as you're moving up those tiles. It's pretty cool. But the geysers themselves, the first geyser, I believe, is set. And then the second geyser can spawn in one of 5 positions, I think. Then the third geyser is one of 5 or 4. And as you move up, it's one fewer to where when you get to the final geyser, it's always in the same spot. But the first couple are the most random ones.
Okay. Yeah, man, it was just so frustrating. Like, I mean, I was not at my best whenever I was trying to play. Like, I try to play every single game just to sort of, like, you know, whenever I'm researching it, I use emulator.
Yeah.
I play the game a little bit just to make sure that I'm not asking too much of the guys, you know, that they could run it in a week. My goal is to get games that have world records between 15 and 30 minutes, you know, and the longer they are, the more forgiving I try to make them. This game is short, but it's, you know, so there's only 10 levels, but, you know, it's also very, very brutal, and, like, if you game over, you go back to the start. So that's what I look for in the games that I play, obviously from the NES and SNES platforms, but...
Yeah, when it comes to Super Nintendo, though, I think there are fewer just outright brutal games like this one, where they have different ways, either with passwords or just you have more health and whatever the case. So when picking NES titles, you're going to find more brutal titles to pick from. Is true.
Yeah. I mean, and you know, NES, that was the golden age of hard games, because I mean, you know, they didn't have that much memory on the carts there, you know. So they had to make the game brutal to give it, like, you know, some longevity to it, you know. Whereas I guess with Super Nintendo you could have a lot more information to access. Yeah, Battletoads. Cash just said Battletoads.
Oh yeah, that's one game I still have not finished. I actually made it to the end of the Dark Queen's tower when I was a kid, but I never made it to the Dark Queen.
That's one game I have not decided to make these guys run. Oh, we got an ad for. We got an ad.
Hey guys, I'm gonna sign off. No way I'm beating this game today.
Right. Can you leave your stream layup out? Do you mind leaving your stream on and just mute your mic, and you can walk away for a bit? That way.
Oh, okay.
Please. Thank you so much. Hey man, it's a brutal game, dude. I'm sorry I put you through that, but you did well. I mean, you know, considering that you work full-time job and you only had limited practice time this week, you did really well. Like, I mean,
I don't know about that.
I don't think I could have done any better. So, everybody,
this game is a tough one for sure.
Andre the Accelerator is how you pronounce his name, and it's Andre XLR8R. If you guys want to go jump over and give him a follow real quick, he deserves it for the effort he put in.
Yeah, you were a champ for giving it a try. Not many people would be willing to try this out in a race in only a week.
Poisoncurls still hanging with it, man. I'm rooting for you, dude. I'm rooting for you. But yeah, no.
So this Poison's currently on stage 4. Stage 4 is where you can you really get the first chance to try out some skips in the sense that the programmers didn't really expect you to take certain paths. They expect you to take the normal one, quote unquote, but you can actually sneak past certain areas that they weren't expecting, and stage 4 is the first one that lets you showcase that, really.
I mean, if you're looking at, like, I mean, Poison, like, right now, I mean, he's, you know, that's really solid movement. I mean, for where I'm sitting, you know, like, that's really solid movement. You can tell that he's practiced this.
Definitely.
It's just whenever you have to start dealing with, you know, waterfalls and crap like that, you know, that's pushing out. Like, I mean, yeah, the movement hindrance is what really screws me.
But for how difficult it is, the controls are relatively fluid. I've actually, I think it's done just about as good as they could have without it being where they would have to change the way the game layout is. You know what I mean? Where the platforms are so many spaces apart. If the mechanics were any really that much different, then the levels would have to have changed as well.
Right. Definitely. See on Andre's stream, he has a new follower, Fox. Always a welcome addition to my chat.
And that was a nice jump across the spikes.
Yeah, he made it. Yeah, man. Poison also runs Mega Man. I think he's got a 36-19 in Mega Man, which is a pretty elite time. I mean, it's considered.
Doesn't Mega Man have a lot of like through the wall skips and glitches?
I mean, it's got. Let's see. It's got like phantom grabs and stuff like that. There's no huge skips like where you can just skip through the end of the level. I mean, like you can grab certain items.
Or am I thinking of Mega Man 2 that
Mega
has a
Man
lot of
X.
skips?
Yeah. Mega Man X is like for the Super Nintendo, so there's not really like any level skips per se.
I thought you were talking original Mega Man for NES.
I mean, I guess Flying Carpet could be considered a skip if you want to classify it as like yeah. In I don't know if you remember, did you ever play Mega Man X?
Me? Yeah, I own that one.
So the Storm Eagle level, you can actually spawn a like a platform, one of the little platforms that you can actually jump on. You can actually spawn it in whenever you get the heart tank at the beginning of the level, and you can use it to fly, literally fly through the level. So Poison actually does that pretty much every single time he gets on the level. He hardly ever misses it, but there's that. And then there's also the iceless jump, which means you can get the heart in Kroanger without actually having to use the ice sled to get up there. And that's
Yeah, I've seen that. That's like almost pixel perfect, right?
It's like 2 frames and like 1 or 2 pixels. Like it's crazy, but Poison usually gets it in the first 3 shots. Like it's amazingly precise. So
Yeah, Poison having a little bit of trouble on the waterfall. The waterfall's tricky because it does give you a little bit of leeway when you go to when you're actually climbing. You're going vertical, and you move to the southwestmost edge of the waterfall. It does have a buffer where when you touch it, it'll stop your momentum, so you don't go flying off. But if you push against that barrier, you can break the barrier. So you want to obviously be towards that edge so that when you get to the top, you're near the platform where you're at the top. But if you push too much against it, you will go flying off.
right, level 6 completed for Poison. Nice broski. Can you get level 7?
So if you're looking at the screen, where he's about to jump is the letter N. There's a letter I, the letter N, the letter T out of the actual squares from all 3 tiers of those water areas.
Got it. Play on. Getting the tongue upgrade. Now, what are those like little like spiky looking things jumping around?
Yeah, the manual I don't think describes them either, so I don't even know what I really would call them. I don't know. I don't know if they'd even be considered traffic cones. They're unique, is what they are.
But yeah, everybody that's currently watching in chat, I'm gonna need you to go over to Xatmamune. How do you say that name again for me?
I pronounce it Xatmamune.
Xatmamune. I'll get it one day. But like, he's actually been retired for 3 years, so this was one of his first runs of Snake, Rattle, and Roll since he retired, and we are trying to convince him to be a weekly racer with us. So if you go over to his channel and give him lots of follows and love and encouragement, maybe we'll get to see him back next week or one of the weeks to come. So I'm shamelessly going to ask everybody watching to do that, to emotionally manipulate you into doing what I want. No, man, like that was amazing. Like, you're just what we want. We want you to wreck some of these games. Playing
video games specifically, is definitely one of my favorite pastimes. I got way too many hours in video games.
Yeah, Midnight Pearl. Yeah, that's what I thought they were. Like either that or like traffic cones at first. I started looking more, and they were just like these like jagged looking spikes, like arrowheads or something. But Foxorb says he's emotionally manipulated and follows. Bugles. Dude, Bugles, Square One. That's exactly what I could not remember the name of that chip.
That snack, yeah.
They look like Bugles.
The crispy. I don't know, when did Bugles come out? Would this have preceded Bugles?
I don't know. Like, Google. Hold on. I'm going. I've got 3 monitors for a reason.
Oh, nice. I've only got 2.
Bugle snack. Wikipedia. Let's see.
Oh, now the geyser climb.
Bugles were discontinued in Canada 2010, brought back in 2011 due to renewed customer demand. Okay, when did they come out? Come on. Test marketed in 1965. And in early 1966 they were, they were out.
So yeah, these are bugles then.
You know what? Okay, so this game is so trippy with the colors and like the movement and stuff, and like you just start wondering if the designers were high.
I wouldn't be surprised if they admitted that they were doing stuff.
So maybe they just like smoked some pot and they got the munchies and they were like, oh God, let's get some bugles, man. I'm totally jonesing for some. And then they ate so many of them that they decided to make an enemy that looked like them. Wouldn't be unheard of. There's lots of enemies in games that have been designed after things that have personal significance, Easter eggs and stuff. I watch that's what I do at 3 a.m. when I can't sleep. I watch YouTube videos about just Easter eggs in games and stuff. All day. I mean, just
yeah. That last geyser, it's so tricky to approach. They put an enemy in a really tricky to reach spot, so it's hard to kill him. Right where the easiest place to jump from would be, and it's like, well, and then they give you a couple other options that kind of give you. Like, should I kill the enemy? No, I don't have to kill the enemy to get a better spot. I'm just going to jump from this weird angle instead. It's just like they want you to die, really, is what it is.
Come on, Poison, you got it.
Yeah, this game's all about momentum. If you can master the momentum, then you can do anything.
Man, that one geyser. I mean, you're having to travel like three spaces.
And still be at the peak of your jump.
Yeah. I mean, and not go too far and not go off the back, because you can do that.
With a multitude of enemies surrounding you.
Yeah, and then after that is what the ice. No, after that is the fish level. Right?
Yeah, it gives you a breather, which, in my opinion, it's the most annoying and disappointing part of the run because all you do is move around and eat nibbly pibblies, which is arguably the least favorite part of the game. The platforming aspect of the game is the most fun part of the game. So to have an entire stage, which is the longest stage in the game, devoted just to eating the fish is kind of boring, but oh well.
Yeah, but Poison plays like a lot of platformers. Like I mentioned that he has the world record in Lion King, and if you've ever watched him wreck that game, there's actually just been a new skip. The lava level, I'm not sure what it calls.
I really don't want to rage quit.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, we all appreciate it. I mean, like,
yeah, we wouldn't blame you either, but this game is brutal.
You made it.
I mean, this is taking forever, dude.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we respect the effort, but I mean, if you feel like you got to tap out, then go ahead and tap out. You did make it further than Andre.
Hey.
There is that.
There we go. So I guess that secures my position. Right?
Yeah, no, it totally does. I mean, I think Square One's in chat. So I mean, like, Square, are you putting yourself up for consideration for next week? Because we have a spot open. Fox, I have not announced the next game. We're getting close to it. We're getting there.
Well, I mean, I can give it one more try.
You want to give it one more try? I want to see you get up there, man.
Yeah, we'll do it.
All right. But yeah, Poisoncurls is actually he's pretty god tier at Mega Man. What are you, 22nd in the world for Mega Man Hundo? I think he's 22nd. I looked it up last night. He's definitely he's between 25 and 20, but he's
yeah, not bad for a game with so much publicity and popularity too.
Dude, it's so competitive, man. Like,
I mean, Caleb, if I'm not mistaken, Caleb Iceheart is his name or whatever. Is he the one that kind of made that game famous?
Yeah, I mean, so far as I know, he's like one of the founding fathers of the game. I mean, there's a couple of other, but I mean, he was called Caleb Iceless Heart. in homage to the trick that I think he was the first. I don't think he was the first one to do it. He was the first one to really make it consistent, and I think that's.
I never put two and two together as to why his name was the way it was. That's pretty cool.
I think his last name is Hart, Hart, but like his nickname was Iceless. Like, it's. I tell you what, Mega Man X was one of the first games that I ever watched on Twitch. Literally.
I think same for me, and I think it might have been Caleb.
Yeah, I know. I went straight to I actually saw Caleb wasn't streaming, and I went over to Drifter, the Drifter 18. He's a Contra runner, but he was playing Mega Man, and I watched him. That was the first time I ever made my account on Twitch. First stream I ever watched.
So a little bit of history for me in this Snake Rattle and Roll. I think the first time I played Snake Rattle and Roll, I was about 6 or 7. I went over to a friend's house. I was with my parents, and they had a Nintendo, and they had this game, and I'd never heard of it before. And I've had the Nintendo since I was like 3 or whatever. And but I never heard of Snake Rattle and Roll, and my favorite animal is a snake. I'm like, sure, I'll play it. It looks like a lot of fun. But he had a Game Genie, okay? And that's pretty important because we didn't really play the game. We played around with the Game Genie codes, giving your snake like 3 or 4 times the jump height, turning gravity off, and just having all sorts of fun with the game. But in my mind, like, I wish I had this game. And it wasn't until about 10 years later I went to Funko Land when Funko Land still existed, and I picked it up for like $2. And ever since then, I've just been playing the snot out of this game.
Jay Casby, Jessica, thanks for joining us. Too bad you couldn't see Skunky. Like he completed his first ever run of this game and won at the same time, so it was pretty outrageous.
It was definitely an impressive run for having played the game for only one day.
Yeah. Square One's actually really good. Like, I mean, if I'm having trouble talking. I can't talk and read at the same time. I can do one thing and try to do it well, but I can't really read, chat, and talk at the same time. But I don't know if Square said... Okay, Square said he's down for next week. He'll definitely be around on Sunday. So Square is in. Square actually won our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles race that we did. I think that was our second week. He won that one, and he actually he picked up that game remarkably fast because it is rather brutal, right? So he's actually a very, very talented runner. We're very happy to have him back for next week. Square also deserves a follow if you guys haven't already. But like I said, next week's game is going to be less stress. It's going to be much more forgiving, much more chill, and it's more about just remembering where the skips are. But there's no real hard skips. I already had a tutorial video lined up to post the second I announced the game, and I'm in negotiations with some runners to come and commentate with me. But if not, we're just going to have fun, and I'll try to do the best that I can. Here goes the carpet jump. I died like 20 times on this level.
And there's that reverse momentum, like I was talking about,
Yeah.
right where you need to go.
Yeah, I mean, if you let that go too far, then it actually screws you over. There's a lot of moving parts to this game as far as like what you have to focus on. I mean, in the game truly is like there is an X, Y, and Z axis to the game, apart from it being isometric. But I mean, most games are just 2D. You know, like you just have to worry about up, down, left, and right. You know, there's not that extra aspect that you have to worry about. Oh, he's trying to get the jump.
I didn't get it. I actually failed that. I'm so rusty. I failed that jump myself on my run just an hour ago.
There's a couple of spots in the game where you can jump off of enemies, I believe. There's one. I think it's, level, I think it's like level 6. You can jump off the toilet seat.
You can do level 4 toilet seat, and then this is level 6 on the bell.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll let Mr. Curls finish up his last try, and then I'll announce the next week's game, and we'll lock in our racers and backups if we have any. And then we will we'll announce it. Like I cannot wait for next week. Let's see if the bells troll him.
Here's the bells. I don't mind giving away then the bit of a secret on how to
Yeah, go
avoid
ahead.
death on the bells. So they look like, oh man, if I touch these bells, I'm totally gonna die. But the secret to the bells, and actually, honestly, the fishtail itself can crush you just as much as the bell can. But the act of death, whenever the bell is falling, the only time you will die on these particular bells is the moment they touch the ground. So if you are not touching the ground when the bell is touching the ground, you will not get squished. So if you are in the air at all, you will not die no matter where you are. So if you instinctively jump whenever a bell is hitting the ground, you will never die. Even if the bell was going to land right on you, you will be off the ground and you will not die.
Okay. That's helpful. Hear that, Poison? It's a little late now, but yeah. Since it's his last run, but yeah. I love all these games so much. Like, I'd be so happy if like Poison took this up. But he was actually the seed of the Sloth race was truly planted for the first time whenever I wanted to see Yo Noid run. And I don't know if you remember Yo Noid for NES, but that game was,
Oh yeah.
it was so ridiculous.
That's a weird game, man.
But I was talking to Poison and I was like, dude, I'll put a $50 bounty on a sub 23 if you want to beat that game. And so Poison grinded for 9 days and he beat the game. And like I think it was like 22:45, something like that. And I was just like, man, that was fun because I got to watch him for like 9 whole days. I'd pay $50 to see that.
I actually think the Mexican runner used to speedrun Yonoid.
He does a lot of
Yeah.
a lot of NES games, like retro stuff. I've seen his name on the leaderboards a lot, just like researching games and stuff. So, uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm an avid. He's the only person that I subscribe to, and I really enjoy his runs.
Yeah. Oh, Poison.
Well, there's a continue. It's 3 extra lives. Let's see if he even wants to go for it, or not delay this
Oh.
this pain.
Oh. But I was thinking about, like, I mean, if we could arrange some emulators. I know that it would be really, really difficult to impossible to stream Game Boy games on
On the hardware?
on Twitch. Yeah, so I don't know how you would do that.
Well, you could have the Game Boy adapter for the GameCube. I believe that plays Game Boy games.
There's a Super Game Boy for SNES.
And yeah, that also works. Yeah.
So I was thinking about expanding the Sloth race because, like, there are so many good Game Boy games out there that
definitely.
I could throw into it. I wanted to. I was thinking about doing Sega, but not a lot of people have Sega games. I mean, and like that, and there's only a few good ones. Like, I mean, you got Sonic, and that's about it.
And unfortunately, a lot of the good ones can be a little pricier too.
Yeah. That is true. I mean, like, and I really want to try to, like, I'm not trying to break the bank, and I guess that's the reason I offer a cash prize every week to the winner, just to try and, I guess, supplement some of the money that they have to put in the game if they buy the cart, because I know some of the guys do. So, I mean, but participating in the Sloth race, if you're dedicated, that might be a good way for you to supplement your video game inventory.
Yeah, definitely.
Or at least have it subsidized by me, but I'm quite happy to do it.
So I'm not sure exactly why the programmers did what they did at this particular part, but you may be aware. Crushing, but you may be aware that those bugles, they're not all spawned, right? When you get to the bugle, when you get to the location where the bugle is, it'll just suddenly appear on you and you take damage. So it's annoying, but the only time they actually spawn, at least on the geyser climb, is when you either use your tongue attack or you jump. So if you can get yourself in a position to, when you make that jump to spawn the bugles, you're jumping over where they're going to spawn is the most efficient way to make that climb.
This Poison's down on the infamous fish level. This isn't really a hard level. Can't really die, so you're just eating fish. That's all he's doing. And as far as the black fish goes, he has to lick them 3 times before they turn yellow. That's door number 1.
Yep, and the actual seeding of those colors of fish in the seaweed, they are predetermined. So there will always be a black one that comes out of that one, and there will always be a blue one that comes out, followed by a yellow, like it just happened. It will always be the same. However, what is kind of seemingly random is which one of the seaweeds will spawn their fish. It's like, will the yellow one from number 1 jump first, or will the black one from number 3 be the one that spawns first? Who knows?
Got it. Huh.
And this level actually has a secret area to it that not many people may know about. If you finish the last one, and you're about to go into the exit, you can actually jump backwards through the level and find a secret water pool.
Would you still have to worry about running out of time if you tried to explore that?
There are clocks all hidden around, like there's one right there that he just skipped. So if you pick up a clock or two along the way, you would have plenty of time.
Poison feeling confident. He doesn't need a clock. Oh, the yellowfish are really desirable because you don't have to lick to change them, and those are worth the most points, I believe.
Yep, the way the points work in this game, I'm not sure if it was mentioned before, but if you were player 1, you're going to be the red player, and if you eat like-colored nibbly-pibblies, so red for red and blue for blue, you'll gain 2 points worth of weight. If you eat the wrong colored pibbly, your ally, or if you want to consider your opponent's pibbly color, if red eats blue or if blue eats red, then you only gain 1 instead of 2. But either snake eats the gold or the yellow one, then it's worth 3. So definitely the most useful one for either player.
Door number 3. Nice.
And there's another clock down there, but you do risk jumping over spikes to go get that clock.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, the only reason to go into the secret area, there actually, I think, is 1 extra life in the secret area, but it requires a weird jump, which could result in a death, so it's usually not worth it.
Nice.
And it looks like skipping that clock might have cost him an extra life here.
Even after all this time, Poison is still speedrunning. Oh.
Yeah. The slow, painful drowning, timeout, death. Oh, so sad.
And you said all these fish that come out there, these are predetermined, so theoretically speaking, as a runner, you could memorize which fish is going to be which color coming out where, right?
Yep, but as again, like I said, it's hard to determine how it determines which colors, not which colors come out, but which seaweed actually spawns the next one. So if you're like, oh man, there's a yellow one coming up next, but it'll spawn the blue one off to the side, and like, well, there can only be 2 active at any given time. I have to go eat one so that my yellow one that I really want spawns, or one has to go off the screen, reducing the amount so that the yellow one will spawn. So it's not always easy to get the right one to spawn, even if you know where it's going to spawn.
Right. Skunky playing some Power Rangers, is it? He had it up for a second.
And we're into the ice level, and this is where the pain begins. If it hasn't been painful yet.
So yeah, I mean, so talking about it a little bit now, how different is the ice as far as like a movement mechanic compared to the water that constantly pushes you down? Like, so is it the same, or how does? I don't
know. It's definitely very different. The water that pushes you down, for one, when you're on still water, which is only found in stage 1 and 2, you can jump. But if you're on current moving water,
right,
like waterfalls, you're not allowed to jump for that. That's one. And then if I'm not mistaken, momentum is extremely different on the ice versus on the waterfall or the current water. The current water just pushes you, whereas the ice, it'll carry you with the current momentum. But if you're on sloped ice, then it can be kind of similar to the being on a waterfall.
Poison trying to get that skip.
Yep. It's
close.
It's actually, and I'm not trying to make it sound like he's not doing a good job. I know it's tricky trying to get any skip in this game, but this particular skip is one of the easiest and least dangerous skips to perform. But of course, doing it on ice that is angled is still no easy feat.
So whenever you're those spikes that you had to, oh, so close. So those spikes that you have to sort of circumnavigate to be able to get around to that other side, can you die on them if you jump too high?
I'm not sure which one you're talking about. Are you talking about the pack of 6 directly above him?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean.
You can make that skip without ever having to go that high, but if you do decide to go that far up, yeah, you can easily die on those spikes.
Nice.
All right, I'm done, man.
All right.
Yeah, good try, Poison. Good try.
Yeah,
All right.
I was killing it earlier in practice, and then I guess after an hour of failing, it's like my nerves are like, fuck, dude.
All right. So, next week's game. Since this one was so tough, I figured I'd give you guys more of a relaxed practice session. This game is for Super Nintendo. We're going to see if anybody can guess it. Most everybody will have heard of and probably have played this game. I mean, it really is a staple of the Super Nintendo. And it's one of the biggest franchises of all time. There are 41 levels on this game. There's no RNG in the entire run. Maybe one boss battle that has just a tiny bit. But it's all 100% going to come down into your execution and just knowing where the skips are. But there's really no glitches that you're going to have to learn, or no really... The skill ceiling to be able to run this game is extremely low. So you guys aren't going to really have any like stress or rage sessions. And I think it's going to be more of a chill run. But it's also longer. The world record for this is 32 minutes, which is right at the top end of what is acceptable to be considered for a sloth race. Anybody want to take a guess as to what it could be? 41 levels.
I have no idea.
No, virtually no RNG, huh?
None. I mean, there's one boss battle.
You said it was a big franchise. What was that comment?
It's a big franchise. I mean, it's one of the most popular franchises of all time. Jessica Caspi, if you want to, you could join the Discord and suggest games in the general chat there, and I will take a look at them. Ah, he got it. Donkey Kong Country.
Ooh, yep, that's a good one.
There's only one boss fight that has any sort of... it's going to be Donkey Kong, all stages. So there are skips that can be performed for the 80% world record, but we're going to be doing all stages. World records, it's a world record. It's a 32-minute run, and basically it comes down to knowing all the barrels and just straight up execution.
You can put that prize money and add it to next week's. I'm in.
All right, Skunky's $40 for next week then. Skunky. All right, Skunky's feeling confident. All right. So Zat, do you have the game? Would you like to join us?
Fun fact: my dad got us this game for Christmas the year it came out. He did not wrap the game though. He wrapped the instruction manual. So when we opened the instruction manual, we're like, no way. So yeah, I even still own the VHS Secrets About Donkey Kong Country 6-minute video that came with it.
Oh, that's cool.
All right, but I think I'll post the... there's a good practice video if you want to get started running it. I'll post it in the Discord. But, I mean, so we've got... Skunky was the understudy for this week. Obviously, he's in if he wants to. Plus, he won. But he did step up at the last minute again. I appreciate you. Zat, so we'll see you next week. And Zat, again, he's the world record holder for the game that you just saw ran. And he also graciously agreed to come commentate with me, which, man, I so appreciate that. And I've had so much fun talking to you, getting to know you this week.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Can't wait to get this started. Poison as the third place finisher, or well, second place after Skunky finisher. He can get back in if he wants.
Oh yeah. Donkey Kong Country's... That's my game, man.
And Square One earlier in chat said that he was in, right? So I see that Foxhor said he wanted to get in. Fox, what you can do, you can be the understudy, and if somebody drops out, you can learn the game yourself, and you're in. And then the understudy, if you have to step up, or if you learn the game, you automatically get a position in the week after if you want it. So that's what I can offer you, Fox. I can offer you understudy, and then so Fox is asking to stream people who wants to play through DKC. It's a really relaxed run. So I mean, if you die, I mean, you obviously have 2 hits because you have Donkey and Diddy. But if you die, you just go back to the beginning of the stage and try again. Like, there's no huge repercussions, you know, and most of the levels can be done in just a couple of minutes, so there's no huge time losses or anything like that. But Fox, if you just want to put into chat, just say I'm in, and if you want it, then you'll be understudy, and then whatever next week's game is, then I'll see to it that you get a shot. But that is the game.
Cool beans.
I mean, like,
Hey, thanks, Sloth. Thanks, Zat. Appreciate it.
once again, Andre the Accelerator, give him follow. Poisoncurls, Lion King world record holder. Mega Man, what's it? It's 3619 is what your best is in Hundo, right? And Skunky.
Oh yeah.
The unanimous, pretty much all categories. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles world record holder, and Zat, which is world record holder for Snake Rattle and Roll, no warps. But all these guys, really, I can't thank you enough. Everybody in chat, like this all really just started as just something for a bunch of nerds to do whenever we got together and got bored on stream, and it's turned into like such a thing. Like I designed the graphics and everything, and I've had input from everybody and so much support. Like I can't tell you how much this really means to me. But everybody that's helping to make this thing big, we're gonna keep going. I'm in it for as long as you guys are. But everybody, thank you so much. Foxor has agreed to be an understudy, so we have 5 confirmed runners. So next week's gonna be a great race. But I think this is where I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. We'll find somebody to host who's still streaming. I know Andre stepped out. Poison, you gonna keep streaming, Skunky? What's up?
Yeah, I'm gonna play some Mega Man X. So.
All right. So I guess we'll send everybody over to Poisoncurls, and you can watch him wreck Mega Man X if you want. Zach, if you want to see some of those glitches or whatever, he can demonstrate those for you.
All right, sounds great. Nice to meet you guys.
All right.
Yeah, you too, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
See you next week.